1857 Mutiny, the first war of Indian independence. The life story of Lakshmi Bai motivates me stand for what's right as they did then and you. Introduction of the 1857 Mutiny, the first war of Indian independence. The revolt of 1857 was the conscious beginning of all the independence struggles against the colonial tyranny of the British. There are various names for the revolt of 1857. India's first war of independence, Sepoy Mutiny, etc. The revolt began on May 10, 1857 at Meerut as a Sepoy Mutiny. Members in the 1857 Sepoy Mutiny. Number 1. Rani Lakshmi Bai. Number 2. Bahadur Shah Jafar. Number 3. Mangal Pandey. Number 4. Nana Sahib. Number 5. Tantia Top. Number 6. Man Singh. Number 7. Kanwar Singh. East India Company. In the mid-19th century, India was very different from the nation-state we know today. It didn't exist as a country but instead consisted of different territories controlled by a variety of rulers. The greatest of these was the British East India Company, which governed two-thirds of the subcontinent. Originally formed in 1600 purely to trade with the Mughal Empire, the company needed to secure its commercial posts at Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. It purchased land from Indian rulers to build its settlements on and recruited native armed forces to protect them. Eventually, these evolved into the Bengal, Bombay and Madras armies. Rise to power. By the mid-18th century, the preciously dominant Mughal Empire was collapsing as nati, and the European states attempted to carve out their own power poiesis. After successfully battling the French for trading supremacy and simultaneously involving itself in local politics, the company became India's leading power following Robert Clive's victory at Plassey in 1757. In the years that followed, it expanded its Indian domains. Discontent. Poor terms of service and pensions, bad pay, lack of promotion and increased cultural and racial insensitivity from British officers all contributed to the feelings of discontent among the Indian soldiers of the Bengal army. Many high-caste Hindu sepoys also viewed attempts during the 1840s to extend a requirement to lower caste Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims as a threat to their traditional social status. No single factor was in itself enough to start a rebellion, but the cumulative effect meant all that was needed was a catalyst to turn quiet discontent into a much more serious affair. Outbreak. On 29 March 1857 at Barakpur, Sipai Mangal Pandey of the 34th Bengal Native Infantry attacked his officers. When his comrades were ordered to restrain him, they refused, but they stopped short of joining him in open revolt. Although only a handful of Sipais had been involved, the entire regiment was disbanded in disgrace. Sipais elsewhere thought this too harsh a punishment. The mutiny proper began at Meerut on 10th May 1857. 85 members of the 3rd Bengal Light Cavalry who had been jailed for refusing to use cartridges they believed to be at odds with their religion were broken out of prison by their comrades. They ransacked the nearby military station and killed any European they could find. Converted to Bengal. There were only 35,000 British soldiers in the whole subcontinent, and these were widely scattered. Reinforcements took months to arrive. Fortunately for the British, it was almost exclusively soldiers of the Bengal army who mutinied. The company's Madras and Bombay armies were relatively unaffected, and other Indian units, including Sikhs, Punjabi, Muslims, and Gurkhas, were supported to the British. This was partially due to their fear of a return to Mughal rule. They also had little in common with the high-caste Hindu sepoys of the Bengal army. Religious and social revolt and the rebel divisions. Religious and social revolt. Thousands of common people joined the revolt, some for religious reasons, others out of loyalty to their old rulers, or to simply engage in looting. Many wanted to destroy the system by which the company collected taxes. Peasants who had been forced to switch from subsistence farming to export crops in order to meet increasing tax demands needed little encouragement to rebel. Rebel division. It was not unfiled a revolt, while all wanted the British gone. Notions of independence were rare. Most of the Sipais hoped to restore Mughal rule under the Bahadur Shah, but the inhabitants of Oudh wanted their Nawab back, and the people of Jhansi wanted their old state restored. The revolt was also divided on religious lines. Most Sipais were Hindus, but other rebels were Muslims fighting a holy war. Deceive events. Following the outbreak at Meerut, uprising by soldiers and civilians alike occurred across northern and central India. But the main centers of rebellion were Delhi, Kanpur, Lucknow, Jhansi, and Gwalior. The future of India would be decided on these battlefields. Why did the Indian Mutiny happen? In 1857, Indian soldiers rose up against their British commanders. They were joined by native rulers and thousands of ordinary people in a struggle that threatened to destroy British colonial power on the Indian subcontinent. The reason behind the rebellion stretched back to the origins of British involvement in Indian affairs. Introduction for Lakshmi Bai. Rani Lakshmi Bai, also called the Rani of Jhansi, was a pivotal figure in the Indian Revolt of 1857. She is also regarded as one of the greatest freedom fighters in India. Rani Lakshmi Bai was born on 19 November 1828 in the town of Varanasi. She was named Manikarnika Tamde and was nicknamed Manu. Biography of Rani Lakshmi Bai. Rani Lakshmi Bai was born on 19 November 1828 in the town of Varanasi. She was named Manikarnika Tambe and was nicknamed Manu. Her father was Morna Pat Tambe and her mother was Barganti Sape, who hailed from modern-day Maharashtra. At 4 years old, her mother passed away. Her father was the commander of war under Peshwa Baji Roy II of the Bidor district. She was educated at home, able to read and write, and was more independent in her childhood than others of her age. Her studies included shooting, horsemanship, and fencing, which was in contrast to the cultural expectation for women in Indian society at that time. At the age of 14, she was married to Maharaja of Jhansi, Gandhar Roy, in 1842. After her marriage, she was called Lakshmi Bai. Her son Damodar Roy was born in 1851, but he died after 4 months. Gandhar Roy died in 1853. Before he died, he had adopted his cousin's son Anand Roy, who was named Manu Roy. Rani Lakshmi Bai contribution in Indian freedom struggle. Rani Lakshmi Bai was known for her outstanding bravery, who was an important name in the freedom struggle against the British. This section highlights her major activities carried out against the British government to fulfill the dream of free India. Legacy of Rani Lakshmi Bai. Sir Who Rose has commented, remarkable for her beauty, cleverness, and perseverance, she had been most dangerous of all the rebel leaders, the bravest and bravest of all. Rani Lakshmi Bai became a symbol of resistance against British rule for the later nationalists in India. She will always be remembered as a great martyr who laid down her life for the cause of freedom. She is a symbol of courage, heroism, and woman power. Why I took Rani Lakshmi Bai as my inspiration and things that women should learn from her. She was one of the first women freedom fighters in India who revolted against the British in 1857. It was very hard for a woman to participate in wars in those days because of no logical myths and taboos, but Rani Lakshmi Bai broke all myths and taboos. She was among the brave Indian ladies who dared to fight men with the swords in her hand. Most of them still believe that women are not equal to men, including some women also trust that. But like Lakshmi Bai, we have to prove that women are equal or better than men mentally and physically. I am sure that I will be the best and bravest of all, and like Rani Lakshmi Bai, I will be the symbol of courage, heroism, and women's power. And request all the girls and women to be like her. By Danyashri P. Standard 8 School, Kendra Vidyalaya, Karaikal. Thank you for this opportunity.